Iwapele, live tomorrow, build your character today. Iwapele, live tomorrow, build your character today. Ashe.
Good morning. How's everyone at Cairo? So today we're going to begin with morning prayers. Mojuba loro, mojuba leta, mojuba loro mare, mojuba bobo male, mojuba bobo male, mojuba bobo solo mare. Mojuba shungwade, mojuba gwade, mojuba fragamos, mojuba tumo, mojuba flori, mojuba palao corriente, mojuba filipe saluetu, mojuba gunjobi, mojuba miei, mojuba chamola, mojuba chalanco, mojuba mitonade, mojuba shubi, mojuba basi, mojuba fumile, album baba, tiye barasimu. At your bed, he hears people please and such please. He hears people please and proof please. He talks to sugar talk and please Lord. He hears people please and such please. Name me fine. He hears people please and proof please. Name is still die. He talks to people and sugar talk is please Lord. His name Oishanla. Oishanla, you're the person Muslim being. Person Muslim cannot spell some person one. The strike frogs winsome is rainfall. The bullfrog winsome is downpour. It is whatever the accurate you pond, you root tells earth what it accepts. Whatever the big rat tells earth what it accepts. All what I tell you, God, please accept them and approve them. Ashe, if I would give thanks. Oturete, to show gratitude upon gratitude, all gratitude, to display benevolence upon benevolence, to be all benevolence. Whoever's not show gratitude, yesterday's benevolence, such a person will not receive today's gratuity. These are the declaration 5 to the foreign run Rumale. When going to Mario Pue, daughter of Rushabuji. These are also declaration 5 to Rumala. When going to Mario Pue, daughter of Rushabuji. I'm grateful. I shall receive my gratuity. I'm grateful for yesterday's favor. I shall receive today's gratuity. O Turete, we are very grateful. Ashe. Àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búrẹ́, àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búrẹ́, àdúpẹ́, àwa búrẹ́ tùnẹ́bù Olódùmarè. Àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búrẹ́, àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búrẹ́. Adúpẹ́ àná àwòbọ̀rẹ́ tòǹbọ̀ torí ẹ̀mí àwa dúpẹ́ àwa bọ̀rẹ́ àwa dúpẹ́ àwa bọ̀rẹ́ adúpẹ́ àná àwòbọ̀rẹ́ tòǹbọ̀ irúmọlẹ̀ àwa dúpẹ́ àwa bọ̀rẹ́. Àwa dúpẹ́ àwa bọ̀rẹ́. Adúpẹ́ àná àwòbọ̀rẹ́ tùnẹ́bù lẹ́gùn lọ ìṣù. Àwa dúpẹ́ àwa bọ̀rẹ́. Àwa dúpẹ́ àwa bọ̀rẹ́. Adúpẹ́ àná àwòbọ̀rẹ́ tùnẹ́bù. Olódùmarè and the divinities, we ask for your forgiveness at this time. Eros Tutu, pounded yam without soup can be very difficult to consume. These were the declarations of E5 to Tutu, the child of Agbeneregu, he who was full of bad character, he whose bad attitude had prevented him from entering T5 domain. Now we come to solicit on behalf of the Tutu. We've come to beg on behalf of the Tutu. Father, please be patient and overlook this provocation. Those who beg on behalf of the Tutu. At this time we ask that you would continue to ward off death, ward off sickness, ward off cases, ward off controversy, ward off wars, ward off fights, ward off COVID-19, ward off cancer, AIDS, diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension. We ask that you would support us in our elevation. Bella, Arumla says it's time to sleep. I echo it, it's time to sleep. Today, Don met Arumla in the 16th room where he covered his head with a flowing gown full of lice. He was wearing a dress full of bloodstains. He was snoring heavily. They told him that a delegate from his disciple had arrived. Arumla inquired about what the delegate had brought. They told him they brought 2 rats with them running, 2 fish gracefully swimming, 2 birds swift in flight, and 2 goats with big livers. Arumla said that is not enough to wake him up. I admit my ignorance. Montuna Karaba, I hide myself in your bosom and survive. Montuna Karaba, the dog carrying masquerade to be Sagbajan repeatedly. Masquerade to be Sagbajan repeatedly to perform rituals because of children. You are the leaders. We are the followers. Leaders are the ones who show the followers wisdom. Arumla told them to get alligator pepper, to get cola, to get bitter coconut, and to get alcohol. The Akapo got the alligator pepper, he got the cola nut, the bitter coconut, and he got the alcohol. That is right. It is not that he is fully awake. Arumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of compassion. It is with eyes of compassion that the heavenly stars usually look at the stars below. Arumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes which help one to secure great wealth. It is such good eyes that the heavenly stars usually look at the stars below. Arumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes which help one to secure good health. It is such good eyes that the heavenly stars usually look at the stars below. Arumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes which help one to secure a good spouse. It is such good eyes my spouse should use and look at me with. Arumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes which help one to bear many children. In such good eyes a child should use and look at a well-decorated plate. Before long, not too far, join us in the midst of all evil. If I would call on the Odu Oshe Aruela to add Ashe to everything that we're saying. Oshe Tura. Tiny are the feet of Tubu. The stripe of a chameleon is not big enough to be this headgear. Had it been enough to be this headgear, I would have taken it home and adorned my head with it. These be 5 decorations to Aruela. When going on a spiritual mission to Jebelan, we call locals and send pay money. Call sauce and make rich. Call Aruela with respect in the Jebelan. Or share Aruela as a good old war. Or shit try. I kick it in Bagisa. The axe strikes sharply against the tree. Casti far for Arumla. And he used to receive Iba and Ashe from Olodumare. If an Awo tells you should be wealthy, you should surely be wealthy. I kick in Bagisa in the mouth of an Awo is Ziba and Ashe in the mouth of an Awo. If an Awo tells you have victory, you surely have victory. I kick in Bagisa in the mouth of an Awo is Ziba and Ashe in the mouth of an Awo. If an Awo tells you have joy, you should surely have joy. I kick it in Bagisa in the mouth of an Awo is Ziba and Ashe in the mouth of an Awo. If an Awo tells you have all Ire in life, you should surely have all blessings of life. I kick it back in the mouth of an wall, I Ziba and Ashe in the mouth of the wall. To SC, maybe so, surely shall it be. Tiny are the feet of Tubu, the stripe of a chameleon is not big enough to be this headgear. Had it been enough to be this headgear, I would have taken it home and adorned my head with it. These be 5 decorations to Aruela. We're going on spiritual mission to Jebelan. We've gone locals being sent pay money. Call sauce and make rich. We call Aruela with respect in the Jebelan. Oshe Aruela is a good awo. Ashe. Ashe Orisha, lẹ́nu mi o, Ashe Orisha, lẹ́nu mi. Wọ́n tí mo bá màmá wí o, ìrúnmọlẹ̀ ó bà. Ìfẹ́ ó bá o, Ashe Orisha, lẹ́nu mi. Ashe Orisha, lẹ́nu mi o, Ashe Orisha, lẹ́nu mi. Wọ́n tí mo bá màmá wí o, ìrúnmọlẹ̀ ó bà. If I Ashe Orisha, lẹ́nu mi. Timo dúró, Timo ṣúré, Timo bẹ̀rẹ̀, Timo ṣúré, Timo kúnlẹ̀, Timo ṣúré, Bímo jókòó, Timo ṣúré, ire Timo sùn orí ti bọ́. Timo dúró, Timo ṣúré. Bímo bẹ̀rẹ̀, Timo ṣúré, Bímo kúnlẹ̀, Timo ṣúré, Bímo jókòó, Timo ṣúré, ire Timo sùn orí ti bọ́. In fact, at this time, we want to call on our Ori. Our Ori is our good luck charm. Ori ẹni làrúrẹ ẹni o. Ori ẹni, làrúrẹ ẹni, mójúlọ mi fà wá mórí. Ori ẹni, làrúrẹ ẹni, ori ẹni, làrúrẹ ẹni o. Ori ẹni, làrúrẹ ẹni, mójúlọ mi fà wá mórí. Ori ẹni, làrúrẹ ẹni, bọ̀bọ̀ rẹ̀ ṣáàṣù. Ifá ọba Ọlọ́run àti bàjájú. Ifá ọba Ọlọ́run Oshe aru ila ifatubo. Gbogbo rẹ̀ chansu. Ifá ọba Ọlọ́run àti bàṣáájú. Ifá ọba Ọlọ́run Oshe aru ila ifatubo. Olodumare and the divinity, please come and support us. Come and support us. Ward off death. Ward off sickness. Ward off cases. Ward off controversy. Ward off fights. Ward off litigation and losses, outright fights, negative forces from us at this time, and bring to us longevity, bring us prosperity, bring us healing and good health, bring us joy, bring us good spouses, good children, peace of mind, and all the good things of life. Ashe, Aboro, Aboye, Aboshishe, Aboto. Good morning. This is Oluo Fakolade of Idinkai Ifa Temple. So happy to see y'all there. So happy to see y'all on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Thank you all for tuning in today. So today we want to talk about the topic of battle tested. But before I jump into anything else, I want to remind folks, please like and share this video on all platforms so that we can be reaching so many people in so many different areas. So I want to talk about the concept of being battle tested and the stories of faith. What does it take to have that faith, and how do we enhance our faith? How do we support our faith? So before we begin, I would like to invoke even more good spirits into this space for our own protection. Olodumare, all of the Irumole, all of 801 Irumole, please come and support us. Please ward off all death, ward off sickness, ward off cases, controversy, ward off fights, litigation, losses, outright fights, all sorts of challenges. Ward it off from us. Ward off health challenges, life challenges, money challenges, family challenges. Ward off housing challenges, job challenges from us, and bring to us long life. Give us good spouses, give us wealth, give us peace of mind and healing today. Help this message to reach people and to support them in having all the things that they need. Ashe. Emma kami meni amo, Emma kami meni ano, Emma kami meni adeloku. Tamule tuori fa aloni mi, Yepora timpanini. Any banami, Aon ati Ifa lelejo. Ifa, we ask for your support. And if anyone has a query with us, anyone has a problem with us, anyone got an issue, they have an issue with you. Ashe. So once again, the topic is battle tested. And when I think about this concept of battle tested, what I'm thinking about really is when we think about Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Navy SEALs, when we think about all of these military organizations, we think even about our immune system. The other thing I think about is, how is it that we are able to rely on those military forces? How are we able to rely even on our white blood cells, our immune system, and so on and so forth? The reason we're able to rely on them is before they came into our center for us to rely on, those things were tested. So when you think about the stealth bomber, and the stealth bomber, it has a shield, it has an external shield, it has all of these forces inside of it. This fighter plane has all these defense mechanisms. And I imagine that the steel that the stealth bomber is made from is tempered. It is tested. When you think about the samurai sword, that samurai sword is tempered and it's sharpened. It is indeed battle tested. And when we look at things that are battle tested, those things that are battle tested are also what? Battle ready. So when we think about all of those things, I think about what Ifa says. I think about, let's say, if Ifa gives us a message that we need to be very careful and very clear and move away from a person or a situation, we have an emotional attachment to that person or that situation. Do we trust Ifa enough to move away from that thing? Let's say Ifa says, don't eat chicken. But I love chicken. Do we have enough faith? Is our faith tested enough for us to say, all right, yeah, you know what? Ifa says, don't eat that chicken, because at this moment in time, that chicken is spiritual poison for me. And it can also be physical poison for me. So how do we develop that faith? How do we develop that ability to trust in what Ifa says at that moment, so that once we hear it, then we do it, because, well, Ifa has said that. So that too is an aspect of being battle tested. Can we rely on Ifa? Can we rely on faith in Ifa that we developed? For me, I oftentimes look at Ifa as a mechanism that is not about even faith. I look at Ifa as a mechanism of knowing. Because things that we oftentimes believe, those things are flimsy. The reason I say that they're flimsy is because belief can be challenged. Belief can be shaken. Things we think about one day change the next day based upon more information. But there are certain aspects of our body that react even without us knowing it. At this moment in time, our cells are transforming. They're transforming air into energy. They're transforming food into energy. Our blood cells are doing things right now that we don't even know about. Our liver is transforming things right now, filtering blood that we don't even know about. We're not even conscious of what our blood is doing, our liver is doing. At this moment, I'm breathing, but I'm not consciously saying, you know what, I'm going to breathe. It is an involuntary action. How do we develop our faith to a level it too is an involuntary action? We just know that Olodumare had it, that Ifa has it. How do we develop our faith to that degree? And that's what we're going to talk about in any situation, whatever we are put in. How do we maintain that faith? And not even faith, but how do we maintain that knowing that we will overcome? That's what we're talking about. So the first thing I think about is, how do we maintain during these challenging times? Because at this moment, right now, we're in a battle. And I say 75 to 80% of the battle is not quitting. Ifa says in Ocho Kung Fu, perseverance is the panacea for prosperity. This was the Ifa cast for Abaja tribal mark, who was the companion of the chief. He was advised to offer a bow. He complied. No tribulation will ever befall the Abaja for it to disappear from the cheek. So when we think about Abaja, we think about Eli's or tribal markings, when people have these tribal markings on their face. And Ifa is saying that that tribal mark, scar, it has perseverance. That scar isn't going to leave. Maybe now that we have the development of plastic surgery, it still isn't going to leave. It's still going to leave a scar, but that tribal mark is not going to leave. It is connected. It is one with the cheek. So how do we develop a personality where our focus on what we need to do, what we need to carry out, is as persistent, as stubborn as the tribal mark. How do we develop that level of faith? So we need to be able to think of ourselves like the scar, because the scar isn't going to leave. Once it's there, it might fade away a little bit, but it's going to stick around. It's going to persevere. How do we persevere in these challenging times? So Ifa on that also says when we are challenged with moments where we need to persevere, we need to have, I call it an understanding, an understanding. Some people call it an overstanding, that in the end, we're going to have a victory. How do we have that victory? Ifa says in the Odu Ifa, Ogbewain, if you are denied your rightful share, do not let it perturb you at all. Whatever the Awo consumes will never be scarce at the foot of Ifa. This was the Ifa cast for Yodun Bayin. It will be sweet in the end. The child of Eworo, Bitterleaf. He was advised to offer Abo. He complied. Now, by the special grace of Olodumare, my matter shall be sweet in the end. By the special grace of my own Ori, my matter will be sweet in the end. By the special grace of all of the Irumole, my matter shall turn sweet in the end. So when we think about that, one thing, when we find ourselves in the midst of battle and warfare, spiritually, physically, mentally, financially, one thing that we need to do is keep the faith, keep a positive attitude, keep an understanding that if I'm focused on what I'm doing, if I'm still in the fight, there is a chance that I will win it. It will be sweet in the end. We've made it this far during a pandemic. It will be sweet in the end. I don't have money right now, but I have a plan. It will be sweet in the end. I don't have a spouse. I don't have children. I don't have the things that I want, but I'm still here. It will be sweet in the end. Those times that we find ourselves where our faith might be shaken, or we find ourselves in situations where we don't have exactly what we want. Oftentimes we say, you know what, I don't have it because of this, because of that person, because of the situation. Instead of looking outside, why don't we look at ourselves? Why don't we look at ourselves and say to ourselves, what are the things that we can do to make our situation better? What are the things that what can I do to make my matter better? And this Odu, it's very clear. It says your Ori, your head. When we look at this concept of the Ori, the head, this is such a powerful concept in Ifa, because your Ori is your psychology. Your Ori is your sense of self. Your Ori is who you consider yourself to be, and it is also connected with your God concept. Imagine if you are telling yourself all manner of terrible things every day. You look up you look in the mirror in the morning and you say, ugh, I don't like that scar right there. I don't like those wrinkles right there. Oh my God, I'm getting some gray hairs right there. You start your day off wrong because you're cursing yourself. How can we wake up in the morning and give ourselves some praise, give ourselves that positive energy, affirm to ourselves that it will be sweet in the end, it will transform? These are the things that we can look to. That is part of the reason why every morning when we wake up, as Ifa practitioners, we go and we pray. Because we wake up and you pray, you start the day with prayer. What are you doing? You program yourself. You can program you. And that too is part of winning the battle, being battle tested and battle ready. Now, there are other things that also happen in the midst of these challenges, in the midst of life. Sometimes the challenge is not within you. Sometimes it's outside.
Okay.
Sometimes there are haters. There are haters out there, folks, if you didn't know it. There are haters. There are people who will say your name and wish harm. There are people who will say your name and as Freddie Gibbs said, they put your name in everything but a prayer. So there are folks who talk greasy on your name. Talk greasy. Yeah, I'm saying it greasy for a reason. They talk greasy on your name. They put you down. And some people, they have ashe. So many of us, we need to be careful of the ashe of the mouth. Because they don't have to be sitting over a cauldron. They don't have to be sitting over some bones. Sometimes folks just, all they got to do is say it and think it. And it affects you. So sometimes we need to find ourselves in a better circumstance. Sometimes you need some better friends. Because half your friends are haters.
Facts.
Half of them is haters. And the other half, anyway. I'm not even going to talk about the other half, but my point behind it is we need to analyze who we surround ourselves with, who surrounds us, because sometimes the hate ain't outside your household. It ain't outside your family circle. I'm not, I'm not talking to anybody in here.
We know.
I'm not talking to y'all. I'm talking to everybody else out there. I'm talking to some other people. But some folks, the witchcraft is real. And it's a real thing. So don't play like it don't exist. Like, yeah, I'm good. It's just, no, sometimes it's real. But the key to understanding the realness of it is that there's a remedy. Ifa says, en ofun kanran. Ifa says, a corpse is staring at another corpse. A jinn is staring at another jinn. This was the Ifa cast for Orunmila when he was going to the town where strong charms abound and strong witches abound. Now, all strong charms and all witches move over to one side. Here comes Ifa. That's what that Ifa says. Here comes Ifa. When we think about that verse, Ifa is talking about individuals who might use spirits. They might conjure spirits to mess with you. They might utilize human bones to harm you. And that actually can be. But Ifa says a corpse is staring at another corpse. So that, we sit and looking eye to eye like, what? A jinn is staring at another jinn. Yeah, I'm here. What you doing? Ifa move over to one side. Get out of my way. I'm going here. On the Odu Ifa, Irete Iwori, Ifa also says, the strong tuft of hair on the head of a Babalao, the tough ileke around the neck of an herbalist. One Babalao who is well versed in the art of Ifa is not the equivalent of an herbalist with 800 pots of strong charms. This was the Ifa cast for Orunmila when he was fighting with 1,460 herbalists with strong charms. Ifa is the owner of the wealth charm. Ifa is the owner of the children charm. Ifa is the owner of the charm of all Ire.
Ashe.
Ifa is Ogan Ranran Elegungun Wole. Pay no attention to the mother of an herbalist who says that Ifa is nothing. If I am challenged, I will recite my Ifa and claim all the charms of the herbalist.
Ashe.
Ifa is Ogan Ranran Elegungun Wale. What is this Ifa saying? Ifa is saying, when that verse says, pay no attention to the mother of an herbalist, that's basically saying, don't give a damn. That's basically what that verse says. It don't mean nothing. If his mama said, that's basically what he's saying. If the herbalist mama said, Ifa is nothing, forget her. To hell with her, basically. That's what that's saying. To hell with what they say. They don't know. They might want to try to get into your mind and say, you know what? I know a charm. I get a swim up under your Ifa protection and hop over your house. I know folks who said stuff like that. You know? And I mean, I'm not saying that people don't have technology, spiritual technology, but my behind is like, word? Your stuff do that? But Ifa says here that a Babalao that is trained in Ifa, that basically says that a well-trained Awo is much higher than an herbalist that has 800 cauldrons, 800 pots.
Ashe.
This war happened between Oromila and 1460. That's a lot. That's an army. That's an army of herbalists, an army of haters. I'm not saying herbalists are haters. I'm just giving you an example. Oromila went to battle with these individuals. But the other thing about it, it says when charged, when challenged, when they step up and say, well, what's up? What's happening? What you gonna do? You gonna punk out and be like, oh, well, let me get my pot too? Or are you going to stand firm and say, Ashe? Here, matter of fact, here, take my mom's name. Because you ain't gonna be able to get me good if you don't have that. Oh, matter of fact, my dad's name. Take that too. And my grandma's name. Take all those names. Because without that, you ain't gonna really be able to touch me. So now you got all the names? Okay, shoot your best shot. And then what do? What do? You go home, propitiate Ifa, offer Ebo. You do what you know to be right. But the deep thing about that Ifa is when challenged, when charged, I will recite my Ifa. But deeper than that point of reciting Ifa, what Ifa is saying is, when challenged, I'm going to maintain my character.
Ashe.
I'm going to maintain doing what's right. Just because, as Michelle Obama says, when they go high, when they go low, you go high. When they want to hit you low, you think high. You think not when we talk about high, it's not just okay. I'm going to overstand and peace the situation. No, what that means is I'm going to go to Ifa. I'm going. Oh, you say I'm dead on this in this court here. You said I'm dead on the earth. Okay, I'm going to go to a higher court. The doctor said you had cancer. No, I'm going to go to a higher court for a second opinion. The doctor said you can't have children. No, I'm going to go to an Ifa higher court. I'm going to a higher court. They go low. No, I'm going to go high. I'm going to take this to a higher court. I'm going to take it to the court of Ifa. They said that I would die in a year with the ailment that I had. No, I'll take it to a different court. Thank you. Thank you for that. Ashe,
Ashe.
I will go to a different court. I want a second opinion. I want a higher opinion. They go low, you go high. So when we think about all of these things, what Ifa is saying is that it's truly necessary to invest deeply in Ifa. And when we think about Ifa, oftentimes it is, when we think about Ifa, the other thing is Ifa is so subtle and so smooth that, you know, you kind of put it to the side like, okay, Ifa's this and that. But the deep part about it is Ifa is so powerfully slick. Why I say that is you might think you're doing something else. You might think you're moving in a different direction, but after you've offered a bow, Ifa kind of lines stuff up in a different kind of way.
Ashe.
You know, anybody ever experienced a time when someone or something, they said that there was going to be some negative force that was going to befall you, and you said, you know what, I will take it to the higher court. I'm going to go cast Ifa. I'm going to follow the advice of the Babalawo. I'm going to offer a bow, and I'm going to take the medicine that the Babalawo supplies, and I'm going to follow the herbal remedies, and I'm also going I'm also going to follow the advice and abstain from the taboos. And then you look up a year later and you're out of the old house that you were in. You're out of the toxic relationship that you once valued. And now you're in a home and in a new relationship or a prospect for a relationship. Anybody ever been in a situation like that? And the way that Ifa does it is it's seamless. It's done in a way where you're like, how did that even happen? I want everybody that's watching today who practices Ifa and who doesn't. I want you to look at, you know, where was I a year ago? What was happening a year ago? Even in the midst of this crazy pandemic, what was I doing a year ago? And where am I now? Are you progressing? Are you regressing? Many of us as Ifa followers, I suggest if you recognize that you are going backwards, you need to reach into some very powerful Ifa because you should be progressing. You should be farther along than you were last year.
Ashe.
When they give you a lower death sentence, go to a higher court. Take it up with Olodumare. But when I say these things, I'm not saying dabble and it's tongue in cheek. Okay, I'm gonna touch and I'll play with it. No, I'm saying put your whole faith in it. Put your being in it. Deal with Ifa as if your life depended on it.
Ashe.
And I guarantee you that you will see the transformation because it will enhance you in a way that you are not even conscious of until you reach the other side. You might even think you're still in the battle. And then you come out and you're like, man, it's only me here. I made it through that. Whew, I made it through that. A year later. So this last Ifa I want to share comes from the Odu Ifa, which is Odigbere. Ifa says, the insignificance of an awo is only for today. By tomorrow, he will grow up and be prominent. Just as The banana tree sits by the river and enjoys comfort and regal. The Awo of Olamini Mola cast Ifa for my suffering ends today. The child of Agbani Regum, when he was coming from heaven to earth, he was advised to offer a bow, and he complied. Today, suffering ends. Tomorrow, I will be comfortable. Just as the dundun drum is hit, 200 jingles shake in response. My suffering ends today. Tomorrow, I will live in comfort. When we think about this, so many of us have been in that situation where we've been insignificant to the world, but we have a significance with Olodumare. We have an insignificance to other people, but I just challenge you to see yourself the way God sees you. I challenge you to see yourself the way Olodumare sees you. See yourself in the way that Ifa sees you. See your destiny in that way. Because we might be thinking all manner of terrible things about ourselves, but when we look in that Ifa mirror and the picture that's reflected back to us is so beautiful. I want you to look at yourself the way God sees you. The insignificance of an Awo is not for today. Tomorrow, I will live in comfort. And I want everyone to say, my suffering ends today. Suffering at a certain level, I won't say in every case, but suffering on a certain level is a choice. How do we choose better? Choose a higher road. I suggest everyone choose to go to a different court. Take your issue up with a different court. Take it up with Olodumare. I thank you all so much because this is such an important thing, that we've been discussing today. This sermon is very powerful, mainly because I want people to be encouraged. I want us all to be encouraged to live our destiny, not only to find it, but also to follow it. And then once we find it and then we follow it, then we fulfill it. And once again, I challenge everyone here to look at yourself based upon what Olodumare sees. Because Olodumare, in my opinion, has picked every one of us to win. And this concept of winning, it might not be our concept of winning. My concept of winning might be Puff Daddy rich. No, forget it. No, Kanye rich. They said Kanye has like billions of dollars. Not Kanye consciousness. Kanye rich. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to talk about it. But my point behind that is I want that might be my concept. But imagine what would happen if Olodumare had a greater plan for me than be billion. Whoa. That's cold. That's cold-blooded right there when you think about it. Olodumare might have a better plan for you than for you to be just a millionaire. That means that this life is more than just money. It's more than just material things. If I might say, you will have success for you is you will have all you need. And you will affect the world or you to affect it. I challenge us all to see ourselves the way God sees us. Because that therein is the internal battle. And that is the way we win the external battle. So anyhow, I wanted to also let folks know, make some announcements today. Every Friday, for those of you who are interested, every Friday, we do an Ifa class. Basically, Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we do a class on Ifa, and it's basically some interesting subjects that I consider them to be hopefully user friendly, but I think we give a lot of information that will help people. This past discussion, this past Friday, the topic that we were discussing was Ebo, Ipwese, Itutu, and the concept of animal sacrifice. So we're digging in to analyze why is that important in Ifa? What is the significance of that as Ifa followers? So we're talking about that, and we're going to take the part two. The part two is going to be happening this coming Friday. That part two is also going to be about Ebo, but we're going to talk more about Ifa verses. And also, I want to talk about this coming Friday. How do you make your Ebos manifest every time, 100% of the time? How do we do that? Because we can do that. And it's not necessarily, it's not always up to the Awo. It is also up to you. So that's what we're going to be talking about this coming Friday. Also, those of you who consider yourselves to be members of Idinka Ifa Temple, we cast our Itadogun this past Tuesday. The Odu was Ogbe Unle. And Ogbe Unle is such a powerful Ifa. That is a Odu where Orumila came and transformed the day of weeping into the day of Ifa, or to Oshe Ifa, where Orumila basically said, why are people dying? Why are expectant mothers aborting or having miscarriages? Why are these challenges coming to these families and to the world? He cast Ifa. And when he finished casting Ifa and offering Ebo, he was told to feed Eshu. And he was also, when he fed Eshu with Obi, Orogbo, and Oti. Kola nut, bitter coconut, and gin. These are the things that every Oshe Ifa, what do? We feed Ifa, we feed Eshu with Obi, Orogbo, and gin. And he did this. And then when Iku, death, was coming to the earth again to take out people indiscriminately, death had to check in. And death had to check in with Eshu. So he goes and he checks in with Eshu, and Eshu says, oh, Iku, what are you going to do? Iku says, I'm going to take away all of Orumila's children. I'm going to take away all the people who have these green and brown Ides. Eshu says that they should be easy to find. But before you go, why don't you drink this gin? Because it's been a long journey coming from heaven to earth. Why don't you have this palm oil, this kola nut, this bitter coconut? Why don't you consume that? So Iku then ate. And then Iku said, I'm about to go on my mission. Eshu said, hold up. What they said, hold up, swole up. He said, hold up, Iku. Iku, you cannot touch the children of Orumila. Now, all those people who have these green and brown Ides, you can't touch them because Orumila is the one who fed you. So this is a very powerful time. It's important for all of us who have Hand of Ifa to be propitiating our Hand of Ifa with Obi and Orogbo every 5 days. And also, if you would like to contribute to the Itadogun, you're welcome to do so. You will do that by communicating with us at www.idinkaifatemple.com. Idinka is spelled IDINKAA, Ifa Temple. So you can communicate with us there. You can reach the Friday class there. You can register, and also you can register for the Itadogun there as well. So if you're interested, please come on. And if you want to be a member, that's where you can find out more information about potential membership and participating with Gideon Ka Temple. So with that, I thank you all once again for showing up, for being a part of this wonderful experience. We look forward to seeing you next time. At this time, I want to end with prayer and thanks. Olodumare, we thank you once again for all the things that you have provided for us. We thank you for your support. We thank you for the messages of today, the blessings of Ifa that you've given us. Help us to take those messages of today and integrate those into our bloodstream. Integrate those messages of faith and confidence in Ifa into our bone marrow, into our cells. Ifa, Olodumare, we ask that you would help us so that when we're brought a challenge, we will respond with good character. We will respond with what Ifa says so that we can vanquish any challenge that comes to us. We thank you and we ask for your blessings throughout this week so that we will be energized to fight and stand another day. So we'll see you next month on the first Sunday, every first and third Sunday. We look forward to seeing you, and we ask that you would really come and invest in your life. Ashe, Aboro, Aboye. Thank you so much again. Thank you. Hey, what's up, Michelle? Peace. Tiara, I see you.